Hi everyone, welcome back. So I've got a quick update here. We were testing out these flours earlier today, and I'll put the link of that original video down in the description, showing the different flours from pastry all-purpose to some bread flours to some that I had that I wasn't sure if it was properly labeled for the type of flour that the package said, along with another batch here that we'll go into detail later. But I wanted to show you after hour 4, because I started this experiment about 12:10, and now it's been a little over 4 hours. So I wanted to stir these up to show you the different consistencies that these experiment batches did and how the gluten has developed or not developed within that time period. So let's check it out. All right, so first we're going to start off with our pastry flour, and just want to show you how easy it is to stir, and it literally feels like if I'm just mixing or stirring rather waffle or pancake batter, and almost no gluten development there. 4 hours later, 4+ hours later, right? And that's what I expect for a pastry flour. That way you get that soft, crumbly texture that you want from this type of flour. All right, next up is our all-purpose flour. So this one is a little bit harder to stir, and you see how the blob of dough here is moving as like one cohesive mass. It's even coming and separating from the bottom there. See that? And definitely has much more gluten. You see that? Whoop. And that's typical of a higher gluten flour, that elasticity development. That way you can bake breads, pastas, pizzas, and obviously bundt cakes and cookies alike. Now this bread flour I bought today at the grocery store, and it again also has that elastic, harder to stir, separating from the bottom there. See that? And it's just moving like one giant clump. And see that? Wow, look at that separation there. And that's what you want from a bread flour, that strong gluten development from the higher protein. And that should bake nice breads for us. Now, I'm not covering any sort of brands or what have you, because this isn't about figuring out what brand is better than the other or what have you. It's more educational to see what the difference is and how just mixing water and flour. Each one of these jars had exactly 25 grams of flour, and then we added 30 grams of water and let it sit. This is hour 4 now, and just to give us a telltale of how and what to expect from these visual, sensory observations so that we become better bakers. All right, so this is a previous batch of what the package said as bread flour, but I had a tough time using it to bake bread, and the thing was just falling apart. The dough was acting like if it was overproofed, cracking, splitting, not holding its shape. And look, it's just stirring like it's a weak all-purpose flour, borderline pastry flour. I sent a sample back to the company saying, hey, this isn't right. I tried it a couple times thinking maybe it was operator error on my side, but it still just wasn't working out. And they did confirm that it had lower protein content than what was expected from their flour. So here we go. That was just falling apart, just to show you. Supposedly a bread flour, but not really reacting as one. Now, I had that issue 4 months ago, and since then, everything was going fine with that flour, but now I got another batch. This says the mystery new batch. I say mystery because it hasn't been tested by their lab to confirm that lower protein content, but according to my test samples, which we're undergoing right now, it's acting more like a pastry all-purpose blend versus a bread flour. See that? Just totally falls apart. Super easy to stir. my chopstick is just cutting right through this versus being caught as a blob like we even saw in the all-purpose flour, where the thing was just moving as one mass. You see that? Let alone the bread flour from today's batch. In fact, this one actually feels a lot less firmer and less gluten development than the all-purpose. So I'm pretty impressed in this all-purpose. I could probably bake decent bread with this. Probably not the greatest for bun cakes because it might give me too strong of a gluten if I'm looking for a really tender crumb. But that can be offsetted by the oils and butters, fat content in a recipe. Anyway, so moving on to the new batch of a 50-pound bag of that same brand flour, of the mystery flour, but it was a different bag. However, I wanted to test it, obviously, before I made another 72-pound batch of sourdough that I had to compost into my chicken run for them to eat, because I basically cut my losses short and decided to toss it versus take the time to shape it and bake it, because it was just going to do this, fall apart on me. So this is the new batch that I purchased. Rather, this is the old bread flour brand that I've been using, but a new bag that I'm testing, hoping that I could use it. And I'm hoping that you start to get more aware of the visual, the sensatory experiments here, to give us those telltales of how this flour, how our ingredients are acting, what they should be acting like. And that way we become better. At the end of the day, we just want to bake great bread. Thanks for watching.